At this time, we would like to introduce the candidates, and if you would introduce yourself and just do a small introduction. We'll start with Mr. Ron Estes.
Okay. Push the button here, I guess. Good evening. I'd like to thank everybody for coming this evening. I know the weather isn't that great out there, so your commitment to this process is appreciated. So my name is Ron Estes, Jr. I'm assistant principal at Natrona County High School. I have been for the last 6 years. Spent 10 years as an assistant at Dean Morgan Junior High prior to that, and was a teacher for about 15 years before that. So I'm excited about the process, and again, I want to thank you all for being here.
All right, thank you, Mr. Estes. And now, Shannon Harris, please, would you introduce yourself and tell a little bit about yourself?
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here this evening, and it's great to see the interest in this position. I currently serve as the Director of Curriculum Instruction in Lincoln No. 2 in Afton, Wyoming. I've been in that role for almost 3 years. Prior to that, I was the principal at Star Valley High School for 8 years. And before that, I was the Director of Special Education at Rio Rancho Public Schools in Rio Rancho, New Mexico for a year, assistant principal at the high school over special education and the Business and Entrepreneurs Academy. I spent 3 years as the assistant principal at Martin Luther King Junior Elementary, also in Rio Rancho. Prior to that, I was a special education teacher for severely emotionally disturbed students and visually impaired students in both Utah and New Mexico. I was a graduate of Natrona County High School. I went to Southridge, Poison Spider, Dean Morgan, and then Natrona. My dad was born and raised here. Our family was all born and raised here and are all graduates of Natrona. So I feel a close connection to NCHS, and I'm glad to be back.
Thank you, Ms. Harris. And now, Mark Hutcheson, please introduce yourself.
Okay, can you hear me okay? My name is Mark Hutcheson. I'm from Marion, Iowa. I've been in education for about 28 years now. I've spent almost my entire life in Iowa. I did spend a year as a graduate assistant teacher and basketball coach at South Dakota State University. For the past 20 years, I've been in Marion at Marion High School. I did spend some time at a couple other districts in the state of Iowa. I was a high school science teacher, high school math teacher, high school coach. And when I first started my career, I actually started, my undergraduate degree was in chemistry, and I actually took a job as a chemist in a printing plant in Iowa. That's where I started, but while I was doing that, I was doing some 9th grade girls basketball coaching at one of the city schools in Des Moines, Iowa, Hoover High School, and just found that I really enjoyed that part of things. My job at work was intellectually, challenging, I guess, but it wasn't everything. There's a lot more, I think, to life than just going through and doing a job. And I had a chance to impact some kids, and I found that I really enjoyed doing that, and that's why I'm in the business.
Thank you, Mr. Hutchinson. So, explain your leadership style and specifically tell us about support networks you have developed in your community.
Okay. Thank you. I have a collaborative leadership style. My style is one that emphasizes the importance of building relationships. So Casper's a unique community where Natrona and Kelly Walsh have an extensive group of alumni. So lots of those people want to stay connected to the school, and so they are involved in school even after graduating and moving on. So they are business people, they are community members, and so reaching out and communicating with those people through whatever means we can is critical. So having an open door policy, working with them to meet their needs is really important. There are business partners that we have at Natrona County High School, so we often reach out to them. We work with the medical areas and medical fields as far as our athletics to provide support for our athletes when they need a doctor or something like that. So we just have an open door policy and want to make sure that we are part of the community and emphasizing the importance of community in itself.
Thank you. Mr. Hutcheson?
I think I would also say that I have a collaborative leadership style. In my position as associate principal right now, I came to that position through spending a lot of time as a high school teacher. I have been, as I said before, I've been in the district where I'm at for about 20 years. I've developed a lot of relationships with students, with staff, with people in the community. And I think for me, one of the things that I rely on a lot is I just rely on, as Ron said, the open door, the chance for people to come in to talk, to tell me how things are going, how they're feeling, what kinds of things are going well, what kinds of things aren't going well. And I feel like as a leader, that's one of the things that we have to model. We have to model trusting relationships, we have to model communication, we have to model opportunities for people to speak and to tell us what's going on. Because honestly, in a leadership position, in any position, you're pretty much limited to the kinds of things that are happening in your little sphere. You don't always know all the things that are going on around you. And I think it's very important that the leader keep the door open and give people a chance to stop in and let them know what's on their mind.
Thank you. Ms. Harris?
I too have a collaborative style of management. I believe in building consensus, getting everybody on the same page and working toward common goals. As a building principal, you really can't make a difference unless you have everybody sharing your vision and your direction and your purpose. So I work hard to put the data out there, look at it collectively, and then decide together where we are, where we need to go, and how we need to get there. I'm a firm believer in hiring the very best people and letting them do their jobs. I don't believe in micromanaging, and so that's how I've tried to run my schools. One of the things that I've done in the past, we had a parent advisory council when I went to Star Valley High School, which was a great group, and I valued their input and the help that they gave us in making hard decisions. But I felt like it wasn't representative of all stakeholder groups. So one of the things I did is I expanded that to a community advisory panel and included business people and secondary or post-secondary educators, students, and staff, along with our parents, so that we had all stakeholders represented. And I feel like that same model would work here. I have always tried to be accessible to students, parents, and community. I'm available long hours, and they knew that my door was always open.
Thank you.
As the Natrona County High School principal, you are the manager of a diverse array of subjects, groups, sports, and activities. How do you propose to educate yourself about the subject areas, groups, and sports at NCHS? How will you support them? And we're going to start off with Mark Hutcheson.
Okay, this is one area, having been involved in education for a while, that I feel is a strength. Both my parents were teachers. My dad was a business teacher. My mom taught home economics. After some shuffling of staff, she also taught physical education later on in her career. My father was a high school administrator. As a teacher myself, I've taught math, I've taught science at the middle school level, at the high school level. I was involved in a lot of different activities, athletics, track, basketball, football early on, some baseball. I've got a daughter that went to college on a softball scholarship. I've got a son that played basketball in college. So I'm really connected with the athletic part of things. But as a high school student, I was also involved in music very heavily. So that's also a great love of mine. I feel fairly strong about a comprehensive high school, and not just a school that focuses in one area or another area. I don't want to just be the athletic school. I don't want to just be the fine arts school. I want to be the school that can provide for every student and the needs that they have and the desires and the hopes and the dreams that they have.
As a former student athlete at Natrona, I have a pretty good idea of the activities. We were all involved all throughout high school in activities, sports and other activities. And having been in the state for the last 11 years, I'm well aware of the activities that go on throughout the state through the WHSAA. I've also looked extensively at Natrona's website. You have some things that we don't have, like swimming and rodeo club and swimming and golf, or not golf, we finally got golf, but we don't have skiing either. So I'm aware that there are more activities than what we had, but one of the things I did as a high school principal, and this was possible where I came from, is I went to everything. We shared students. Our students that were athletes were also in the musical, and we didn't have quite the numbers that you have at Natrona, so we couldn't schedule activities at the same time because kids were doing 2 and 3 and 4 things at a time. So I was very visible. I was at all events. And I also took pictures at the events and posted them in our commons area for kids to see themselves and to take those photos and really have some good memories. And I feel like the students knew that I cared about them no matter what their activity was. And I would do the same thing at Natrona. Perhaps I couldn't attend everything just because of the sheer numbers, but I would do my best to be visible and supportive of all the programs.
Okay, Mr. Estes.
Thank you. Again, I think visibility is the key to that question, and having been an athlete, having been involved in lots of groups and activities, I understand fully, and there's lots of research out there about the importance of getting students and people involved in activities. I know that the graduation rate goes up for students who are involved in activities, and so we promote those at a high level. So being involved, being visible, recognizing how you can celebrate little successes as well as big successes. So there's lots of different levels that we can do that, and so I think that's critical. We want students involved in lots of different activities and groups, and diversity is the name of the game. So emphasizing we want kids to get involved in things, we want them to try some new things, or just have a good experience. So I agree with both of these folks that being involved and being visible is really important, and encourage student participation in activities is one of the wonderful experiences that they should have in high school.
Thank you. So we're going to start with Ms. Harris next, and the question is, how do you plan to effectively and consistently communicate with parents and students?
I believe that communication is the key to success. If you communicate clearly with students and parents in the community and are transparent in what you're doing, things go much better for you than if you are not communicating what's going on or what your intent is. I also believe that one of the most important parts of communication is listening. As an administrator, parents and students have an idea about what their needs are and what their concerns are, and as an administrator, my first responsibility is to listen and try and understand their concerns and then address them. The ways that I communicate, website, we use text blasting, newsletters, social media is not my favorite thing. I do not have a Facebook page. I suppose I might have to break down and get one. I've tweeted a few times, but Twitter is not my favorite thing either. But I suppose I could manage to use all of those things if I needed to. And to really learn what communication systems you have in place and strive to master those. Another thing I think is communication, and face-to-face communication is really probably my favorite means of communicating. Sometimes when you say something in an email, it might be misconstrued or it might not come off exactly the way you intended. So, talking with people is probably my first preference. I'm kind of old school, even though I'm pretty tech savvy. It's not my preferred go-to method of communicating.
Thank you. Mr. Estes.
Thank you. I think Shannon mentioned before, I too would like to reestablish a current advisory board. I think my second year at NC, for some reason it just kind of dissolved and didn't work out, but I can emphasize the importance and the want to have parent involvement. Those of you who have worked with me have heard me talk about a three-legged stool with parents being a leg, students being a leg, and then we're a leg, and when one of those isn't doing their job, the stool's going to fall over. So it's a critical, parent involvement is a critical aspect and component of our kids' success. So when we're calling parents, we want them involved, and unfortunately I've heard at times that quit calling me. My student is a 14-year-old adolescent, and he can make his own decisions, and that's not okay. So we do keep calling, and we do expect parents to do their part. So having that open door policy, creating a culture of communication is what I'd like to do. Also using the social medias or the websites and whatever means we can to communicate with parents and involve parents is an emphasis. So we need that three-legged stool, and we need all three legs to do their part.
Thank you. Mr. Hutcheson.
I think there's a lot of, as a lead principal, I think there's a lot of formal means of communication that I would use, have used in the past. You know, we talk about parent advisory. I think that's important. We at Linn-Mar, we have a student advisory group as well. We have a student advisory group for different levels so that we get lots of student input. In terms of written communications, I think the newsletters are very well received, and they're good because they're very concise. You can put a lot of information in a small document and make sure that that's in everybody's hands. We've tried something new this year too. We've had some town hall meetings, and we've had some town hall meetings for some students, and it hasn't gone as well. Students usually, honestly, they will stop in and they'll tell you what's on their minds. Parents, on the other hand, sometimes an invitation is a good thing. So we've had some town hall meetings where parents could come in and just ask questions. And those things have been very good. They've been, we haven't put a lot of controls on those. We want parents to be open. We want them to be honest. We want them to tell us what's on their minds. The social media things, I'm probably a lot like Shannon. I don't have a Facebook page. Maybe I need to get one. But I will say that that's very effective. It's very effective in communicating with students, and I think adults, you know, as time goes on, more and more and more, adults really appreciate the text or the tweet or the, you know, whatever it is that tells you what's going on at the high school at a given time. So lots of different ways to communicate. The informal means of communication, I think, are probably even more important than the formal means of communication. Just again, I'll say it 100 times, but the open door policy, people being able to walk in and tell me what's on their minds.
Okay. How do you see your role in supporting special student populations at Natrona County High School, such as those students on an individualized education plans, gifted special education, language learners, etc.? And we'll start with Ron.
Okay, thank you. I see myself as leading it. To be quite frank, I was also a special educator in my career, taught emotionally disturbed kids and what we call functional life skills students with severe and moderate handicaps. So that's where I've lived for a lot of years during my tenure as an administrator. That's been one of my one of the rocks, so to speak, that I have been in charge of, both at Dean Morgan Junior High and at Natrona County High School. We've seen significant growth amongst our special ed students, and we are very, very proud of that. And it's bringing people together collaboratively, working together, the individual education plan team working together for the betterment of the student. So I simply see myself as leading that charge. As far as gifted students, we have a number of those students as well, so we want to make sure that we're promoting and leading all aspects of the spectrum, from special ed students to our IB students, our high functioning kids. So I've been involved in those processes during my tenure as an administrator at Natrona County High School and at Dean Morgan, so I'm comfortable and I'm confident leading that charge.
Mark.
At Linn-Mar High School, I am the 11th and 12th grade associate principal, and I'm involved a lot with students with special needs, with IEP meetings, with 504 meetings. Every time we have an IEP meeting or a 504 meeting, if it's possible in my schedule for an 11th and 12th grade student, I'm there. And I see here in Natrona, I see myself being definitely leading that, in charge. It probably would be a little bit more of an oversight function. I think I would definitely rely on some of the associates, some of the assistant principals to handle some of the individual meetings. But you know, I want to be very involved. I want to be in the loop. I feel like some of the students that are in those programs, they're there because they need a little extra support. And as the lead educator for the building, I want to be able to provide them that support. In terms of other situations, we also have regular child study meetings, child for 11th and 12th graders, but when students are running into some rocky things in their life, we'll get together as an administrative staff, teachers, counselors, and student and parent, and talk things through.
And Shannon?
This is also my background. Special ed is why I got into education, and those are the kids that I wanted to be a part of their life and ensure that they had the same opportunities that everyone else had. So as a head principal of a high school, your job is really to ensure that the needs of all students are being met. And if those students are on an IEP, that they have the ancillary and support services they need, and whatever it takes really for them to be successful. Oftentimes these are the students who don't advocate well for themselves, and we have to ensure that they have advocates meeting all of their needs. As a special ed teacher, I was also involved with starting skiing programs for the blind and visually impaired. And I think it's important that we not set limits on our special ed students, that anything is possible, and they're only limited by how we or they limit them. And we need to encourage them to accomplish everything that they want to in life. The gifted students I found also are not really always great advocates for themselves. And so I think it's important. I know we have IB programs, concurrent and dual enrollment, AP courses, and things like that. So there are a lot of opportunities for those students on the high end of the spectrum, but still we need to make sure that they're taking advantage of the opportunities that are there for them. Again, I think the most important thing as a principal that you can do is hire the very best teachers. And if those students have the best teacher in their classroom, they'll have success, and they'll have people advocating for their needs every day, and their needs will be met and they will be successful. And I think this will also help our dropout rate, because a lot of times these are the most at-risk students for dropping out of high school.
Thank you. So the next question, and Mr. Hutcheson will begin. Natrona County High School consists of a large staff. What would you do to make sure the staff has a positive atmosphere to work in?
Okay, number one, I would insist on a positive atmosphere to work in. You know, and that sounds simple, and it really should be. But I think in some people's minds, the glass is half full. You know, I'm sorry, the glass is half empty rather than half full. And so you really have to work with some of those kinds of people. But at the same time, I think it's very important that the staff lead the charge, whether it's food service, custodians, teachers, administrators. You know, the people that work for Natrona County High School, they have to have a smile on their face. They have to go about business in a positive way, looking for solutions rather than always looking at the problems. I think that's huge. I think it's a definite mindset. I also believe that a big key part of this is trust and transparency and openness and honesty. In order to be positive, in order to feel good about things, you got to feel like you're part of things. You got to feel like you can contribute and you're in on things. So I think the transparency and the openness has got to be there as well.
Ms. Harris?
A positive atmosphere, I believe, comes from providing a safe climate and a positive learning environment. If people don't feel safe and the climate is not conducive to learning, it's not a place where anyone wants to be. So as a high school principal, the thing I did is I tried to make it a place where I wanted to go and everyone else wanted to go. There's nothing worse as a student or as a person teaching or working in education in any manner to have to go to a place that isn't a fun place to be. So first it has to be safe, and we have to ensure that there's not bullying and harassment going on. And then we have to work to put systems in place that recognize people's efforts and accomplishments and just make it a fun place. And, you know, I've had success doing that. Some of the things I've done are, you know, a back to school ice cream social and barbecue in conjunction with our football scrimmage to start the year, where people are welcomed and we celebrate our successes and we set goals for the coming year. And we just really get together and have a good time, and we need to welcome people into our community, from our community into our schools, and make sure that kids want to be there and that they feel connected and safe.
Mr. Estes?
Thank you. This is a people business, and so recognizing that and understanding that is really part of the role of a leader. So making connections with people and building positive relationships is something that I emphasize and I focus on. I think that that's done through modeling and setting expectations for others, holding people accountable, making sure that everyone knows policies and procedures surrounding policies, making sure that we are in an atmosphere that builds trust and value and celebration and recognition. So as a leader, that's what I try to do, and that's what I think is important, because we also have a saying that when people are positive, teachers and staff are positive, kids are feeling good, they're going to learn more, parents are going to feel good, so it trickles across the board. And so I can't emphasize the importance of having positive relationships and having a positive atmosphere at school. And that is an emphasis for me, and those folks who work with me, I think, would also agree with that.
You are now halfway through your questions, and with this next one, we will start with Ms. Harris. Academics are a fundamental part of our district moving forward. As Natrona County School District continues to implement an academy-based secondary system, what do you think the role of Natrona County High School should be in this situation?
It's a great opportunity for the students and staff in the district. I came from a high school down in New Mexico that was built by Intel, and it was built in academies, and I found it to be a structure for students that made learning not only rigorous but relevant. It's nice for students to be able to go to an academy that focuses their math, you know, toward their career path, and their writing and reading. You maybe that's technical reading and writing. So everything's aligned toward their career path and their goals. And I think it's a great opportunity for the students who want to take advantage of that opportunity. And I think our job from Natrona County High School are to provide teachers and staff who want to be a part of that system and program, and also encourage students to be a part of it and to help them understand you know, how that educational opportunity will be different and maybe work better for them than the traditional high school currently is. I've seen plans and been by the site where that building is going up, and I think it's going to be amazing, and I just hope it's successful. And it can't be successful unless we're all working together and you know, really championing that project and that opportunity for kids.
Mr. Estes?
Thank you. I see our role at Natrona County High School in the transition is leading that transition. I've been involved in the process of the academies, I think, for the past 3 years, so more intensely this year. So bringing understanding to our community and our parents and our students, and letting them know that as a schools of choice district, the academies is going to offer some outstanding opportunities for a lot of kids. But I think we need to make sure that we're still providing opportunities for students who don't choose to go to an academy-based system. So those students who choose to go to that facility will be supported, and we'll do everything that we can do to help them move in that direction. So the academy is exciting. It's going to be a wonderful facility, and it's going to meet the needs of a lot of learners. So anytime a student can graduate from high school and be prepared for the next level or go to work is a positive experience. We say that not all kids are going to go to college, but everybody has to go to work. And so those kids who choose to go to an academy and take advantage of those classes are going to be ready to go to work or go to college when they're done. So we have a secondary system that has been in development over the last 3 years, and that's a pretty extraordinary situation where all high schools in Casper are moving in the same direction to promote academies and academy-based learning. So having common schedule, having common courses, those things, putting that all together has been a pretty daunting task, and there's a group of individuals, including the administrators at all high schools, have been instrumental in setting direction and providing opportunity for that to move forward. So it's been an exciting process, and NCHS will lead in that transition is the way that I see it.
Thank you. Mr. Estes, you'll start the answers on this now. Mr. Hutcheson. Mr. Hutcheson, we'll start the next question. Thank you. Oh, yes, ma'am. Sorry.
That's no problem. Thank you. It's easy to, you know how many questions have been asked and answered over the last few days. I understand. In Iowa, we have academy learning, but it's not, we don't have a lot of academy schools in Iowa at the high school level. What we have is we have a really extensive community college system. The community colleges provide academies. At Linn-Mar High School, we probably have a couple hundred of our students that are involved in academies through our community college, which is Kirkwood Community College. And it is outstanding for some students, for many students. These are the kinds of students that have an idea where they're going, or at least they have a seriously strong interest in some area. And it does, as Shannon was saying a little bit ago, it really does a nice job of pulling together the math, the science, the English, whatever it takes in order to succeed in a particular career path. So I'm a big supporter of academies as far as how Natrona County School District, Natrona County High School helps in that process. I think that just with the planning and the facilitating, the counseling and the recruiting of students for the academies, I think would be a big part of our role. And I definitely also, I'm a big believer that it's not one size fits all. If an academy type of learning environment is a great fit for a certain student, then we need to do our best to try to provide that.
All right. I think this time we'll start with a new question. Mr. Estes, what do you think the role of the International Baccalaureate program is within the overall curriculum and student experiences offered at NCHS?
I believe that the role of the International Baccalaureate program is to provide a rigorous and relevant academic program for students at that level. I know that our school, the numbers have gone down the last few years, so offering advanced level courses and identifying those students who have that desire and that need to be involved in that program is the work that we're trying to do. One of the things that was very awesome for us is we had a graduation ceremony for last year's International Baccalaureate students, and they came back right after Thanksgiving, and we had a big celebration. But it was interesting as they answered questions about their first year of college, and when they said that they would sit in classes and the rigor and the relevance and all those of a college setting, they definitely felt like they were prepared. So they could see the benefit, and they communicated that out to our young IB students. So as they move to the next level, they are prepared. And so that's a tribute to the staff and the curriculum and the parents that support those students, because it is a highly rigorous program by intention. And so again, working to provide those services and that level of coursework for those kids is part of what we do at NCHS, and identifying and building that program and getting more and more students involved is a focus for us at NCHS.
Thank you. Mr. Hutcheson?
Sorry about that. At Linn-Mar, we don't have the IB program. We have a lot of AP courses at our school, which are, and we have some concurrent enrollment courses, which are college level courses that are taught at the high school, within the walls of the high school. What I know about the IB program, and I have done a little bit of looking into IB, and I actually did some traveling to Kansas City and looked at an IB school in Kansas City a couple years ago, is that IB is an incredible opportunity for students that are motivated. They're the kinds of students that have, you know, high interest and high effort in a given area. And I think the one advantage of IB, and I actually tried to encourage Linn-Mar, my school, to look into the IB program and to add some IB coursework. But you know, we all talk about the shrinking world, and I think that's one of the huge advantages of IB, and it's even an advantage of IB over AP coursework, is that the coursework for the IB courses, it's coordinated. It's coordinated internationally. So it's a very unique and valuable type of program.
Ms. Harris?
I think the IB program is another opportunity for advanced students, similar to AP, dual and concurrent enrollment courses. And all of those can significantly decrease the time spent in college. If they successfully pass their IB exams and go to a college or a university that accepts that, it can really cut a lot of time off of their college and save a lot of time and money. So I think for those students who are motivated by that and know that they're going to a post-secondary institution that honors that, it's a great opportunity. So it's one of many programs that you offer. It's not an easy program to get in place, and so I applaud those who have taken the time and effort to implement that program for the students. Any opportunities that we can provide for students to meet their needs, I think is great. And my understanding, based on the data I've seen, is that the students that participate in that program have been highly successful in Natrona.
We will start this next question with Mr. Hutcheson. How would you increase the graduation rate at Natrona County High School?
I don't, at Linn-Mar, we have about a 94% graduation rate. We have had a change in our graduation rate over the last few years, and it's actually dropped just a little bit. And because of that, what we've done is we've implemented some different kinds of programs to make sure that we were staying on top of the students that are at-risk students. We have, in the last couple of years, we've implemented something called academic progress monitoring, and I lead that. We have 11th and 12th grade counselors, guidance counselors. We have an academic assistance counselor, which, by the way, I think is an outstanding way to address the issue of graduation. Because we have somebody that's their job, that's what they're focused on, is staying on top of the at-risk students and the students that are falling behind on credits, the students that are missing certain types of required coursework for graduation. But every Monday, we get in a room with the counselors, with the principal, with the academic assistance counselor, and we talk through our list of students that are falling behind in graduation requirements, or falling behind in meeting their the required coursework for a diploma. And we talk about strategies to address their difficulties, their troubles, and we come up with a solution, a plan. and it involves a lot of times parents, it involves other teachers, but we put together for every one of those kids, we put together a plan, and we do it every week to make sure that those kids are moving towards a diploma.
Ms. Harris?
I don't believe that high school graduation rates are a high school problem. I believe they're a K-12 problem. And we'll never fix the graduation rate until we address the reading of students. If you look at your proficiency rates and students that are on grade level at the end of third grade, it's always a direct correlation to your high school graduation rate. So we'll have to work as a district to improve the reading. And when that improves, I think you'll see the graduation rate improve. Having said that, there are some things I think you can do as a high school administrator to help those students who get to you who may not have the skills or may be at risk for dropping out. And one of them, like Mark just said, I think, is every student has to have an adult advocate in the building. And there have to be systems in place for those students and those adults to meet on a regular basis and to address the concerns or the problems that students are having and come up with solutions to address them. I believe that most students who drop out don't feel connected to high school. We need to get students involved in activities, whatever club or activity or interest they have. We need to try and connect them to something besides just school, because honestly, a high school without any activities or sports wouldn't be the most ideal setting. And for many students that aren't connected, they don't have those ties and those relationships and that buy-in to what we're trying to do. I also believe that getting parents involved is critical. Parents need to be involved in their kids' education, and all stakeholders need to see the possibilities for students. I think many students who drop out don't see the possibilities after high school. They don't have hopes and dreams, and they don't believe that things are possible for them. And we have to make sure that all students have that hope and that belief in a bright future. And we need to provide a safe environment so they want to be there and they want to achieve great things.
And Mr. Estes?
Okay, thank you. I too agree that it is a graduation rate is a community problem, where we find that education is valued in the home. Those students go through and generally get to walk across the stage. But I think our first step is identifying those students who are not graduating and why they're not graduating. Attendance is a huge thing at all high schools, and if we can get kids to come to school, we can get them to walk across the stage. I think relationships with teachers and with staff is a really important aspect of that. I think as kids go through school and get out of school and look back on things, they may not always remember the curriculum that they had in a subject area, but they do remember that relationship and the impact that teacher or person had on them. So it is building relationships with those kids, connecting with families. We too have what we call a graduation status review program as part of our at-risk process and identifying those students immediately. And we work very hard at the 9th grade to identify those students who are struggling behaviorally, academically, emotionally, or whatever area. We try to get that group of people together to try to formulate interventions to help them be successful. So we have raised our attendance rate for the last 5 years at Natrona County High School, at least 1% each year. So emphasizing the importance of getting to school, making connections with kids, making them feel welcome and relevant and honored, so to speak, I think is our task as educators. So if we can get them there, we can educate them and we can get them to walk across the stage.
Thank you. Ms. Harris is going to begin this question. What will you do to foster positive culture and trust within the Natrona County High School community so that students, parents, staff, and community members feel welcome, valued, and supported?
The first thing you have to do is build relationships, and you do that by being with people, being out in the community, being at events, being in classrooms, being in the halls, and then you do it by inviting and welcoming people into the school, and in meaningful ways, not just in a superficial way, but have them be part of the decision-making processes that go on at your school. Another thing that I think is critical as a building administrator, you have to have integrity. If people don't trust you and they can't trust you to do what you say, none of that's going to happen. So you have to have integrity, and people have to have belief that you will follow through and do the things that you've committed to do. And another thing I think is really important, nobody's perfect. And I think when you make a mistake, you have to acknowledge that you've made a mistake, correct it as best you can, not make it again, and move on. And I think if you do those things and make the environment a safe, welcoming climate where people want to be and foster those relationships, you'll have success. I think what I said before too about the community advisory panel, involving all stakeholders in that, like I said, in a meaningful way, and have stakeholders involved in the decisions. Parents know their students very well, and we need to include them in the decisions that we make. And as we set direction and goals for our school system, we need to make sure that all voices are heard.
Mr. Estes.
Okay, thank you. I think setting expectations for staff and building a culture that is welcoming for everybody, where people are, students included, valued and supported, is our goal. And so we do that by communicating, having an open door policy, being accessible, being visible out at activities and in the community, and just be part of it and be part of the community. We welcome people to come into our school, and I hope that they feel welcome. I know that our staff and our administration works very hard to provide that environment, but we have some work to do about changing our culture, and it will start with the administration, and if I'm the head principal, establishing that culture and that positive environment is what I will do. So we are all together as one, so that's the way that I look at it, and so fostering that will be my main focus. And we need parents and we need folks involved to make sure that kids are able to graduate and have a positive experience in school. High school should be fun, and we want people smiling. And again, when teachers are smiling, kids are smiling and parents are smiling. So it's a philosophy, it's an approach, and I can't emphasize the importance of that positive atmosphere and being welcoming and being open. So again, having an open door policy is my expectation.
Mr. Hutcheson.
I think to foster positive culture and trust, number one, you have to make it a priority. And you know, I feel like for me that it's a priority without even being a stated priority. I think that's one of the biggest drivers for student success is for them to walk in school every day and feel good about things. So it's a huge priority, and I think it's also important that as the building leader that you really model it. You know, you model the communication, you model the trust. How do you model trust? Well, you have to trust others so that they can understand, you know, what it feels like, what it looks like. I would also say that in my history, I'm an open book. You know, there's no hidden agenda. There's nothing that I'm going to keep from people. I think if in order to have that positive culture, in order to have that trust, I think it's got to be that way. I think everything's got to be out there for people to see, people to understand, for people to know that there's I mean, everything is very transparent with me, and I think that's a huge aspect to trust in a positive culture.
Thank you. This is your last question, and we will start with Mr. Estes. Please provide what you believe to be 2 or 3 most important points regarding leadership as it relates to this high school principal position. How do you think you should be held accountable for leadership in this position?
Okay, thank you. The The most important things to me is to create a safe environment for kids and for staff. As Shannon alluded to earlier, that if people don't feel safe, then they're not going to worry about their education. So providing that a safe environment is my #1 priority. Creating a culture of pride and excellence and character is a focus, and will be a focus for me as a leader of Natrona County High School. And that's what I do. And so being positive, working with people, building relationships, from parents to staff to students is a focal point for me and hopefully for everybody. As far as who should be held accountable, that would be me. And as a leader and setting those expectations and working with people to provide that kind of an atmosphere where it is positive, where we celebrate successes, we all work together, that we're happy. That's what it's about. So as a leader, that's the buck stops here, and so I'm willing to take on that responsibility. I look forward to having that responsibility and setting the tone for a positive environment at Natrona County High School, and an atmosphere where we're taking care of our students, our staff, and our kids.
Mr. Hutcheson?
I think probably the three most important points regarding leadership, the way that I see it, is that #1, I want to be the person that encourages students to high goals. And as I look at that, you know, there's all sorts of different levels of goals. If you're, you know, at the lower end of things when you start, you know, maybe your only goal is that I want to do better tomorrow than I did today, okay? As you move up a little bit, you can start comparing yourself to the competition, but I think always as a background, you know, you're always thinking, I want to do better tomorrow than I did today. So I think that's #1. I want to encourage high goals for students. #2, I want to facilitate success. That doesn't mean that I'm the guy that always gets up in front of everybody and gives the Newt Rockney speech that gets them fired up and gets them going on things. We've got a lot of good staff members. We're going to use those good staff members. We're going to give them opportunities to lead. We're going to give students an opportunity to lead. But whatever it takes in order to move students closer and closer to successful outcomes, I think is a big thing. #3, and I think this might be the most important thing, is as a leader, I have to care about the school, I have to care about the students, I have to care about the community. I think it's very important as a leader to care about others and to show it, and I would do that. The last part of the question, how do you think you should be held accountable for leadership in this position? You know what? Either we're moving in the right direction or we're not. And if we're not moving in the right direction, then you need somebody else, okay? I would ask for some time to get things moving in the right direction, but I have no problem being held accountable for the direction that the school moves.
And Ms. Harris?
#1 for me is to provide a positive climate and a safe climate for students and staff. I think that has to come before anything else can come. So for me, that would be my #1. Second would be to set high expectations for students and staff. We need to expect a lot, not only of our students, but of our staff. And we all need to be lifelong learners and be setting goals that we're striving to achieve. And I guess third, for me, you can't have high expectations if you're not going to provide the supports and systems to help people be successful. So my #3 would be to provide the systems and supports that students and staff need to achieve the goals that we've set. For accountability, I think you can tell a lot about a school by walking down the halls. You can see if people are happy being there and want to be there. You can tell if people are happy with the schools. And so I think culture, you can tell when you walk in. Also, I think stakeholder surveys indicate people's satisfaction with the school. So that would be one way. Our outcomes, our achievement data and discipline data and all of those metrics that we have at our fingertips will tell if we're moving in the right direction and we're moving toward those goals, achieving those goals that we've set together.
Thank you all. This is leading us into closing statements. We're going to start with Mr. Hutcheson, then Ms. Harris, and Mr. Estes will conclude the closing statements.
Okay, this is going to be a little off the cuff, but I want to thank everybody for bringing me here from Iowa to interview for this position. In my time here, and I've only been here for a couple of days, but I've met some amazing people. Some people that are very committed, some people that are, they really, really care about the direction of the high school. And that's been very impressive. And the groups that I've met with administrators, I've met with students, I've met with support staff. What's the fourth group that I've met with?
Certified.
Certified, okay. So I've met with a lot of different people, and I've been very, very impressed. I think whoever gets a chance to lead Natrona County High School is going to be a very lucky person because of the people that are involved. You can talk all you want about you know, programs and numbers and, you know, all of those kinds of things. But when it comes right down to it, it's the people that make the difference. And whoever gets a chance to lead those people, because I think they're there. In fact, I know they're there. It's just a chance. It's just needed somebody to mobilize them, to move them in the right direction. I know that a lot of those pieces have been in place. There might be some things that are a little out of place right now that need adjustments. But whoever gets a chance to lead this high school building is going to be a very lucky person because it's all there.
I too am grateful for the opportunity to have been here this week and to meet with several of your stakeholder groups, and it feels good to be home. Natrona County High School has always and always will have a place in my heart. I would love the opportunity to come back and help it move from good to great. I've successfully done that in another system, and I think this system is kind of at the same place that one was when I took over. It's a great staff. It's students who are enthusiastic about their education and their futures. We've met with several of them today, and one of them sitting here tonight. And to hear the things that they love about their school are the same things that I loved about school when I was at Natrona. So I think things haven't changed awfully much. They still talk about the oil bowl and the peach basket, and I have great memories of those times myself. I think it's a wonderful system, and I would love to be a part of it. And whoever you choose as the best fit, I know we'll have great support and great success. So thank you again for having me.
Thank you. I went and had my blood work done the other day, and when they stuck me, it was interesting because I bled orange. Kind of freaked the nurse out a little bit, but you know, I started running around Natrona County High School when I was 3 years old. My dad taught there for 35 years and was a coach. My mom was the office manager, I think, for 27 years. So as a little kid, running around the halls and seeing the pride and what NC was all about, I started at a young age. So it has been in my family and ingrained in my soul for a long time. And again, both my parents graduated from Natrona County High School, my brother and sister, and I graduated. So it's been a wonderful connection. I consider it an honor to have the opportunity possibly to lead the school. It would be a dream come true for me. But I can tell you that I'm so proud to be associated even as an assistant principal, because as these folks have said, we do have the best staff, and we have the best kids, and we have the best parents. And now we get to move forward into, as a system, a high school system, and support academy learning and academies and move into the 21st century. So I'm excited if I get the opportunity to lead that charge. So again, I want to thank everybody. It's been an interesting process. It's been an interesting couple of days, so I'm thankful, and I appreciate the opportunity, and I look forward to hearing your decision. So thank you so much.
Thank you. It has been a very busy couple of days, and the head principal at Natrona County School District is a very important position. And I think the way that we have went through the process these last few days, and our candidates who have lived through the process would show how important this hiring is. And I would really appreciate if you gave these candidates who have been sitting through so many interviews a hand, because it's